the State Director of Queensland One Nation, Ian Nelson, Cape York businesswoman Gina Kiora, our website, I should say, to send your questions live and join the Twitter conversation using the hashtag that's on your screen right now. Well, as we go to air tonight, a thunderstorm is raging over Brisbane, but it's the political storm over refugees and multiculturalism that's leading the political agenda. Our first question tonight comes from Oliver Squires.
Well, thanks, Tony. Barnaby Joyce, do you agree with Scott Morrison when he says that the asylum seekers from Christmas Island shouldn't have been able to attend the funerals of their family members? Or do you agree with Joe Hockey when he says he would never take away anyone's right to say goodbye to their loved ones?
Yeah, well, what we've got there is very interesting. No, I don't. I know Ian. I was talking to him outside, but I don't get their emails. I'm not on their mailing list. But, you know, sometimes I get a sense that now, I do get a bit worried, Tony, that now we're going to sort of launch ourselves into trying to create a pariah out of One Nation. That, you know, we can't persecute these people, as you certainly shouldn't, so we are going to persecute these ones instead, and I think that's wrong.
Who's persecuting them?
Well, this idea that any person who even says hello to somebody from One Nation is somehow a form of pariah, and I think that's wrong.
Ian Nelson, do you feel like a pariah?
No, certainly not.
Well, okay, let's move on then. I presume that you back Scott Morrison's, going back to the original question, I presume you back Scott Morrison's original stand on the funerals.
Well, yes. We have always said that you've got to start counting your dollars, very simply. Look, God forbid, this is tragic, but God forbid, if something happened to your family member, and one of our family members, I don't think we'd put it on the government to get the whole family to travel to wherever the funeral is and then pay for the funeral. And then
unless they were perhaps imprisoned in detention.
Well, that's a valid point, but I'll repeat this one more time. If the Labor Party, the Labor government had stuck to the Pacific solution, that boat would never have been there and those tragic people would never have been dead.
Were you surprised, just briefly, were you surprised to hear Scott Morrison so clearly echoing the views that you put out on this subject on your website?
Not at all. I mean, we're Conservatives, the same as the Liberal National Party are. I mean, we at the moment, we're blogging daily because we need to be more relevant, and we're finding that the Liberal National Party are, you know, people with the same like-minded views.
And picking up your views and running them as policy?
You said that, not me.
It's a question.
Well, they might. They might. But, and we're happy about that. The same as when political parties use our policies. We're happy about that. We're not here to govern Australia. We're here to keep politics honest.
OK, let's go to our second question of the night, because it does, and we'll bring in the other panellists after that, but it's on the same subject, and it comes from John McNaughton.
What action can the average Australian or Queenslander do to stop the drift towards multiculturalism? The boat people seem to be having more rights in Australia than do people who are born here.
Gina, can I... Ian Nelson, I'll pick you up on that question.
Well, I think what the gentleman meant was we have legislation in force in Australia that basically looks after ethnics very, very well, and we could be discriminated against at any time. We can be discriminated at any time if we seem to have offended someone. And you know what? We don't agree with that. Our women, why do they have to cover themselves up on a certain day to go swimming?
I don't actually. What, your women? When you say your women, who do you mean?
Australians. Australians.
Yeah.
Australian.
So they should swim naked?
Well, no. Well, that'd be nice, but no, not at all, Tony. What I'm saying is now we have a call by the Muslims to insist that our women be properly covered, appropriately covered when they go swimming. Wearing a burqa? I don't get it.
Anna Bligh, I've got to bring you in here. I mean... OK, we've got another question on a similar subject. It comes from Yahya El Khaled.
My question is to all parties. How do they expect Muslims to integrate and be proud of being Australians when our politicians are debating how many Muslims can immigrate to Australia and what they should wear and how they should socialise?
Okay, let's hear from, first of all, Anna Bligh on that. Ian Nelson on this, and just to reiterate the question, it essentially was, how do you expect Muslims to integrate and be proud of being Australians when you're essentially saying they shouldn't be here?
I don't think anybody's saying they shouldn't be here. What we are saying is that we would love them to assimilate. We seem to find through evidence that they don't. Muslims have their own religion, and they have their own mosques, they have their own Sharia law, they have their own Bible, the Quran, which is really different than what we do. I don't know what's funny about that. I mean, it's a serious problem. They don't. It's not that we don't like their religion. They don't like our religion. Is it true? Is it not? No, wait a minute. Is it true that they're offended by the scene of naivety during Christmas time? I mean, is that true? Is that true? The Mayor of Sydney doesn't allow anybody to display it. That's our Christianity. I mean, you folks, you just don't
Christianity.
Look,
you have a problem with
We'll get a microphone to you. Just hang on a sec.
I've lived and
just hang on for a
Muslims.
second. We're just going to hear from our questioner.
We don't have a problem with Christianity. We don't have a problem with anyone in Australia. These people, I'll take a bullet for these people. But I do have a problem that it's always Islam, Muslim, Islam, Muslim. Do you think it's easy? My wife gets spat out in the streets. All these, like, millions of things happens. If it wasn't for the people that I've known throughout my life, I would have told my wife these people are bad. But obviously they're not, because there's so much more people out here that respect my wife, respect me, but it really, really, you make life hard for all Muslims, the way you act and the way you just always Islam, Muslim. We don't hate your religion. We believe Jesus as our prophet. We love Jesus. We love, you know, I don't know where you get all these ideologies from.
Well, a couple of years ago, the President and myself went and visited a mosque on the Gold Coast, and we found those imams to be absolutely charming. And the people there were also charming, very charming. These people, the Muslims there, they've seemed to have assimilated, and they're practising a diversified culture. They're not multicultural. They're practising a diversified culture, and they mix with other religions too. These folks are wonderful. We welcome them. It's the scary speeches your imams give in the Sydney mosque that scare the living daylights out of all of us. It's the burqa, which is an intimidating thing to see at the best of times. We understand it's your religion, but you've got to understand that we have a religion too, and we want to be free to practice that.
Can I go to Barnaby Joyce on this? Barnaby Joyce.